Episode 5, Will Buys Bitcoin. This one's going to be about inflation. So this is basically why the dollar is a problem and why it's worth it to look for alternatives to the dollar. So essentially what a dollar is it's fundamentally based on debt, right? So when the government wants money, they go to the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve loans them the money, and then that's the money that gets into circulation. So government debt is essentially always increasing as just a function of normal operation. And as that debt increases, the government has to continuously create more money to reduce the value of the debt that they hold, right? I think we're at like 30 trillion or something in debt. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but there's a huge amount of debt, and it's always increasing by some percentage every year. And the amount of money that we have to pay just to, fund the interest payments of those debts is also increasing every year. That's money that's, not going to any services that help people in any way. It's just debt payment. And while that debt is being inflated away, being reduced by inflation, incomes are also being reduced by inflation. Savings accounts are also being reduced by inflation. So with all this inflation going on, it's, interesting to think about what would it be like to have a money that didn't have all this inflation. What if we didn't lose 50% of our purchasing power every 9 years, right? That's brutal. If you're trying to buy a house and you're just trying to like save up the money and you don't want to get a loan, every 9 years you got to save up twice as much money, right? You can never really reach a house. And even with loans, a lot of people in my generation are facing that problem still. That the prices of all goods are increasing out of their control. And incomes never increase at the rate of inflation, right? Incomes are always going to lag behind because, all these companies, they also have to deal with inflation. They have to deal with, the demand is going to go down when they raise the price of their goods, and the price of, any supplies that they need to run their company are also increasing. And then everybody wants their income to go up at the same time, and it puts all this pressure on companies. It's the reason that under our system, you can blame capitalism. It's really inflation that causes the constant need for growth of companies. But if you compare that to a non-inflationary system, then your income actually gains in purchasing power over time. If you're paid in Bitcoin, then your savings account is increasing in value rather than decreasing in value. It relieves that stress. It relieves that pressure for incomes to always go up, for companies to always grow. It reduces the necessity for all of these loans. And back to the loan point, a little bit of a tangent. Whenever you put $1 into the bank loans out 90% of that. It's called fractional reserve banking. So, you put $100 in the system, they lend out $90 to the next guy. The next guy puts $90 into the system, and then guess what? They loan out $81 out of that 90, right? Another 90%. And if you follow this trajectory all the way down, for every dollar you put in the bank, they're creating 9 times as much money, right? That's sort of inflationary in itself. And it means that the banks really aren't secure. It's the reason bank runs are a thing. Bitcoin will never have this problem because Bitcoin is Bitcoin, right? It's not backed by loans. It's not, it doesn't have all this BS going on in the background. So, what was I talking about? I guess that's it.